Hello, in this video I will explain how to start using Portfolio Slicer. My assumption is that you already downloaded Portfolio Slicer into the folder Portfolio Slicer demo and you set up your PowerShell scripts to run on your PC. So the very first step that you have to do when you start using Portfolio Slicer is to decide the date from when you want to track your investments. Usually I recommend that this date to be last business date of some year. It's best when you have at least few years of history in Portfolio Slicer, then you can see more interesting reports. So for this demo, we'll choose day 2012, December 31st. It's a business day of 2012, and that means that our reports for year 2012 will not be correct, they will not be right. But starting from 2013 January, all our reports will behave naturally. They're gonna be the good reports. So as we chose December 31st, 2012, our date, the next step is to get your investment institution statements for that time. So you want to know what investments you had in your accounts for these dates. For this demo, we'll assume we'll have 3 investments, and then we know also that in the future years we bought some fourth investment. So we'll deal just with 4 symbols for investments for purpose of this demo. So when we know the investments, how many investments you had at the start of our tracking, we have to find symbol for each investment. It's sort of a ticker, but it's a ticker that matches your quote source. So some investments will come for you from the Yahoo Finance website, some investments will come from the Google Finance website or some other website, or you manually enter them. And because of that, the ticker can be different on different websites. For example, XU iShares TSX 60 investment or ETF has a different symbol on the Yahoo Finance website versus Google Finance website. So the step which we have to do is to actually identify the symbol. So let's start with the identifying symbol. We go to finance.yahoo website and we'll start to get information about investments from this website. So first stock we know it's VTI, that's what our banking information says. So we have to know to ourselves what's the name. So it's Vanguard Total Stock Market Index, and we have to check if Yahoo Finance provides historical data for the symbol. So we click at historical prices link, and there you go. Because we see historical prices here up to today's date, that means Yahoo Finance is a good source for the symbol. So that's perfect. As we are here right now, we'll also look at additional information. For this ETF, we also want to find out what is management expense ratio, because we'll need it later. And we'll put a note to ourselves that management expense ratio for VTI is 0.05. Okay, so that was our first symbol, and we'll know we can use Yahoo for that. The next symbol we'll use is MSFT. So that's a Microsoft. Again, we'll look it up on Yahoo Finance website. We make sure in historical prices we have our historical prices. Perfect. So this is going to be our second symbol from Yahoo Finance website. So the third symbol is XU. So as we enter XU, that's how the ticker is provided by our financial institution. You can see that Yahoo Finance actually uses symbol XU.to. So when we click on this, the C symbol XU.to, it's how Yahoo Finance identifies symbols. Each symbol might have a suffix which specifies country or stock exchange where it came from. So we saw it's iShares, the name for this, and we check historical prices. So we have historical prices. So again, the Yahoo Finance is a good source for the symbol. We go back again to ETF profile page. We double check what is the management expense ratio, because we'll need it for later. And that's 0.18%. Perfect. And the very last symbol which we'll deal with is again Canadian symbol, is TDB 900. When we enter this into a finance area, we don't see that symbol available on Yahoo Finance. So we'll try to use another source. So it's finance finance.google.com. And we will try to enter here TDB. And as we enter here TDB, we see the option to choose it. It's TD Canadian Index E, that's what we're looking for. But as you can see, the symbol right now here is mutual fund underscore CA column TDB 900. We check historical prices here and we see historical prices. Perfect. What we don't see under historical chart here, the link to download historical prices. This is important because we have two options how we download quotes from Google. One of them is called Google, another one is Google Web. So as we don't see the link here, that means this is going to be Google Web download option. So we go back again to summary here and we'll look for this information about this mutual fund, and we looked again for management fee. It's 0.30%. So we know now we kind of map our investments to the symbols, and we need that information to populate in our in the under scripts folder. There is a configuration file. So when we open this file, we'll start to enter our configuration. So min date here will be, as we said, 2012 December 31st. We have to make sure it's actually business days. If it's Saturday or Sunday, you want to go days before. Detail output, we leave it as it is. We actually put a folder where we want to extract our data to PS data folder. We don't have any generated quotes. And now we are dealing with two different currencies, USD and Canadian. And now from the Yahoo website, we will want to get symbol information or symbol quotes for VTI, MSFT, if you remember, and XU.TO. From Google Web website, we will want to get information for the symbol, remember, TDB 900. I have a note for myself, so it's easy to remember. That's it. We updated information in our configuration file. We save it. Save that configuration, and now we'll get the data for these symbols. If you remember, the data will be extracted to folder C portfolio slicer PS data. So when I run update PS data batch file, this will start to create local repository of the quotes we specified. So what happens right now is these scripts create a quotes subfolder here, right at the top, and they will place the quotes information in there. So everything is okay, and we see the green message. That means we extracted all necessary dates. This is a kind of a permanent repository of our quotes, which we got, like, you know, VTI, and they are split between archive quotes and the quotes what we need. There is a somewhere article what explains what archives quote versus real quotes. And the final folder where all the information that is required for us is in C portfolio slicer PS data. If you see here, we have all the quotes what we need for each symbol here already created. It's that simple. You getting all the quotes now. Every time you need just update dates, update the quotes, you just execute again the same file. And as you can see, it goes and checks what information you already have on your PC, and whatever is missing, if there are any new quotes, it will request them and get them. It takes about, what, 15 seconds, less than that, to get updates, just for symbols. It might take you a couple minutes when you have a lot of symbols. This window will close by itself after 10 seconds. So we've done with the first part of our guide, where we already have quotes and external files generated for us. So now let's go to the second part, where we go to Excel and we open that portfolio slicer workbook we downloaded. So here we'll have to populate the data. So here we'll have to basically enter all data about our investments. We'll start by going to SRC worksheet, and we'll populate our minimal date 2012 1231. We'll specify what we're not gonna track cash, and we'll leave market index 1 and 2 as they are. The next thing which we have to change is currencies. Now here is again, we have a USD and Canadian. We leave it as it is. We will be dealing with two different currencies in our accounts. I'll rename these accounts to Vidas USD and Vidas CAD. The important columns here are currency. You have to specify USD, CAD, and active yes, no. All the other fields here are more or less related to the groupings, or some of them to calculations to withholding tax, but if you generate some dividends, but we'll skip them right now. So important information, you enter account names, currencies, very important, and then active yes, no. When we enter this, we go to a little bit right of this SRC worksheet, and then we choose our allocations. We're gonna, allocations, it's when we do investments, we target our investments to be. In our case, we'll say, okay, we target that we're gonna have a 50% of Canadians and 50% US, and I'll select these two rows, and basically, let me just, for a better recording, I'll select this, these two rows, click right mouse, click delete table rows, and I delete the data. So really, I'm expecting that my investments will be 50-50 split between Canada and US. This helps you to, if you have a certain goals, these allocations help you track these goals. Let's go to the next tab where you have to enter information symbol. So here you have to add information about your investments. And we remember we already kind of mapped what each investment, what symbol it represents. So we had a VTI, that was the first, our investment. The next one was MSFT. The next one was XU.TO. Remember, you have to add the .TO. And the very last one was mute.ca.tdb 900. So this is investments we're gonna deal with. The names you had to remember was Vanguard Total Stock Market ETF. Again, you're gonna get it somewhere online. We'll call this Microsoft. This is iShares TSX 60, and this is TD Canadian Index ETF. Now we have to specify here currency. We know VTI is traded in USD, Microsoft in USD, XU it's in Canada, so Canadian dollars, and here is Canadian dollars. Management expense ratio. This is 0. I would recommend you always specify even 0. You specify value, not leave it empty. Sorry, not 0. This was 0.05. Microsoft is 0. XU is 0. I believe that was 18% and 0.30%. That was the management expense ratios for this. If you don't know any management expense ratios, you can leave it as 0. What that means simply that portfolio slicer will not be able to correctly calculate how much you pay for management expense ratios on your investments. Now, allocation. If you enter here anything that is not in your allocation table, the cell will be red. So we know we have two values. This will be US broad, this will be US broad, this is Canadian, and this is Canadian. So we have all the other values can be left as it is. They just for grouping. I usually like to specify US, Canada, and it's a good idea to specify it here as well if you have a withholding percent or no, but I just specified here the numbers. So that was symbol table. Usually it takes some time for you to investigate to enter this information, but if you are on top of your investments, you will know most of this information from top of your head. So the next table is symbol sector. It's not easy to fill up this table, so you can leave it, just assign 100% to other. So I would, as a starting point, 100% and other. So, and then MSFT, other, 100% and other. Otherwise, you can have some sector allocation. But at this point, I don't want to bother with this other, and mute fund CA, TDB 900, other, 100% other. So Control Z to delete that last row that was added by my tab. We're not going to use any symbol alias right now, so I'll keep it as it is. Symbol alias, actually, let me give me an example. So you can enter TDB 900 and enter here mute fund CA TDB 900. So this kind of, again, Control Z if the extra line was added. This tells that in transaction table now you can use just TDB 900 instead of this long line of the symbol. So we now entered the information about our symbols, and we're ready to move to transactions. Information about transaction will be entered in SRC Trans worksheet. When we go here, you already see that because we changed account names, you see that account values are here already read. So I'll enter information here, v-USD, v-USD, I'll enter v-USD, v-USD. And the first transaction is actually the system transaction that specifies types for each field. It's a good idea to use always the minimal date with this transaction. So it's always at the very first transaction when you order by date. So we'll not touch anything else. We just change account and a date. We chose not to track cash here, so we don't need to do any deposits. So we'll just say what we buy, and we'll buy BTI. So now we're going to start entering information that we have in our accounts for 2012 December 31. So we, at the time we had some VTI stock, let's say we had 100 shares. We bought even maybe before 2012 31, but we will say that we bought it, the date which we use, it's a minimum date which we have here. And at the time when we bought it, it was, let's say, $60 for this, and we paid $9.99. So that's a price we paid, and this is by example. So really, even we bought it sometime maybe in year 2010, and we held it for so long, we use a minimum date. We cannot have any dates before our minimum date, which we specified in our parameter file. So we're putting all holdings for December 31st as we would bought them on that date. So another holding we had is MSFT. So again, we bought, let's say, 100 at some point, and we paid $30, and we paid $9.99. So this is an example of transactions. Let's add one more holding, which is now into Canadian account, 2012 12/31. We buy, and we'll use that XU.to, and 100, and we paid $17, and that's Canadian now, no price, and into Canadian account. So that's another by example. So these were the holdings for December 31st, three basically positions we had. So at this point, we don't have to enter all transactions. We just enter some of them. That's the starting point. And let's refresh and see how this looks in our report. So I prefer to always go to the holdings report, and then from here to do refresh, because this is Excel 2013 or 2016, we go to the data menu and click refresh all. So what's going to happen now is that all the data we enter here in SRC, SRC singular, SRC trans worksheets, and also all the data from the files which we created into PS data subfolder here. All this data will be taken and loaded into Portfolio Slicer Power Pivot data model. So it's from here it goes into Power Pivot data model, and when this model is loaded and calculated, it's going to be accessed by Excel. So Excel, every pivot table you see here in Excel, so basically every report, every chart that you see in the report, will start to query that database and on the fly request the data what is required for specific report, calculate it on the fly, and produce results. So we see some messages here. They stop for a bit, and then the messages will appear again. So at this point, what happened is a two-stage kind of a refresh of the data. We refreshed first all the internal Excel tables, and then we're going to go as well and refresh all the external data files. So as we're refreshing, the data will get updated, and at some point you will see that changes here. You will see that the symbol list will become our symbol list. We enter 3 positions. We have 100 helds in each position. So let's see how we do this. When we refresh, you notice that accounts change now to my Vidas CAD and Vidas USD. You notice that now the symbols change as well. There is still some calculation happening, so we have to wait to finish. You should expect a couple minutes for this refresh to go through. It takes some time. There is a lot of calculations. It's not very optimally way it's done because it goes like through 2 separate stuff, but that's it done. So we have our holdings, so we enter the holdings. We have this is our booked value, current value, how it grew, and we can start to see reports for this. So any report you go, if you go to daily report, so it will show you what's daily value. So assumption is that whatever you held at transactions here at this time, starting from this point, if you didn't buy or sell anything, just a monthly and yearly date, information how your stocks were doing. So what will happen next is when you enter your holdings, you would start entering your additional transactions. For example, I would suggest you start entering just your transactions for additional buys or sells. So in Vidas CAD, let's say in 2015 or 1 or 2, we bought now TDB 900. Did you notice I entered TDB 900? Really, our symbol is mute font CA TDB 900, but because we have a alias, we created here alias TDB 900, we can use just a shortened value here. So TDB 900, let's say we bought 100 for I don't know, $20 and $9.99. So another buy example. So now when we enter these transactions, we know that other tables did not change. We want to just refresh one table. So we go to the holdings here, and now from the data, when we enter the data menu, go to connections, we find this one trans table, and we can click refresh. So we'll refresh just this one single table here. And again, you see processing data. The refreshing of one table is much faster than going and refreshing external data files and then all the other tables. So we choose this when we know that our external files hasn't changed, because we already requested for today's all the quotes, and we don't care to get exactly up to the minute quote information. So we simply do that. We wait till it's finished. We click close. It's finished, and you see that now the 100 we added here, we have an additional record for this. We can go now into transactions and specify some dividends if you wanna. So Vidas USD, we can say 2014 12, or I would say, or 6 or 1 diff total amount. So we receive from VTI for per 100 shares, this symbol, let's pay this in a year total, let's say $100, right? So the dividends. So again, so we got the dividends. We'll go back to the holdings tabs, and if we look at the dividends right now, there are no dividends specified here. So we do the same trick. We go to connections, we find transactions, connections here, and we click refresh and let the calculations go through. Again, it's gonna take maybe 20 seconds or so for this one table to refresh. It goes through, and now you will see the results with the dividends. We're waiting till it finishes, and then we click on close as soon as the cursor changes. So when we click on close now, I would expect in the dividends area that $100 to appear here, and it be part of the profit. So VTI was 4,413. Now you see 4,000. So dividends now part of the calculations and so on. So that's how you would start to work on the portfolio slicer. You keep adding transactions, sales, dividends, and as you add transactions, keep saving your Excel workbook to make sure that you have the data stored, saved, and then keep refreshing the data and keep looking. Holdings is one good report where you can really see to make sure that whatever you're holding right now is is what you would expect the values to be. And again, when you enter information in transactions, there could be multiple accounts here, and you simply keep adding your data, and the reports will be refreshed and updated. So this is basically how you use Portfolio Slicer. This was a very quick introduction to this. It might seem like intimidating. It might seem like it's a lot of data to enter, but you have a full control of that data. When you see what you enter, you see all these available reports here. There is a lot of functionality here. Okay, thank you very much for watching this video.